Welcome to the TaiyangNews and SNEC Solar Leadership Conversations. My name is Michael Schmela, I'm the Managing Director of TaiyangNews, and I'm very glad to have with me Peter Lan, Co-CEO of GCL Tech. Hello, Peter. Hello.
我想问一下，
Nice to
我
have
们
you
蓝
here.
先生都知道 GCL 在
Okay,
中
so
国
let's
算
start.
是硅市场规的制
GCL
造
has
领
been
域
a
的先驱者，
Chinese
是第一
pioneer
个
in silicon
进军
production.
这个
You
市
were
场的
among
一
the
个领
first to
跑
move
者。
into
你
this
们先
segment in
是
China,
跟西门
and
子
you've
那
been
边
working
合作，
both
达到
on
相关的技
Siemens
术，后来
first
又
and
研
later
发
on
了
on
FPR
FPR
技术。那么
technology.
在
So
这
what's your
些技
major
术攻坚的
learnings
阶
when
段，
you
你
look
公司有
back
着
at
哪些
both
的新的体验？
technologies?
首先，从西门子卖到
So actually, it took GCL quite some time to move from modified Siemens to FBR. Modified Siemens used to be the dominant technology in the market. Actually, we were already number one in terms of making polysilicon using modified Siemens method back like 11 years ago. And then while we have reached number one, Chairman Zhu brought up this whole new challenge to us. He was saying, okay, right now we're already number one. Where are we going? We have to come up with some new game-changing technologies so that make sure that we always are ahead of the industry, right? So then we thought of it, and to take it to the next level, we thought of moving from modified Siemens to FBR. And so we actually invested so much money in terms of R&D of FBR technology, and Chairman Zhu and the whole group, we have mobilized so many resources into doing FBR, and I'm very proud to say 11 years later, right now we are also number one in terms of FBR technology in the polysilicon industry.
FBR has obviously some cost advantages. That's also why you moved into that over mainstream chunk material. But still, most companies are producing Siemens-based technology, which is overall the dominating technology today. So what's the reason for this imbalance? Is it mostly IP related, or is it rather technology related that the other companies simply don't manage it?
非常好的一个问题。站在现在的这个静态来看，好像
to answer your question,
只有两家。
I think right now you were talking about like because of the cost advantage and everything, like FBR seems to be the more prevailing technology right now, but not a lot of companies are doing it. So right now, actually, if you look at the international arena, only two companies are doing FBR. One is GCL, one is REC, but of course, capacity-wise and cost-wise, we are much better. And so I think we do not exclude the possibility of having a lot more competitors going into this path, because the advantage is very apparent. Like the purity-wise, we're at the similar level with modified Siemens. Energy consumption is so much lower, and we're approaching electronic grade. So one of the most important things right now is that if you look at modified Siemens, it took modified Siemens like so many years to develop to where they are today. But if you look at FBR technology, actually, it only took us like 2 years since the mass production of FBR since the birth of FBR technology to the mass production. So really, I think this technology is growing so fast and evolving so fast that I think eventually a lot of people would want to get into the same pool, the FBR pool. And also, while we are doing FBR, we've been ramping up so fast. For example, the foreign matters. When we're talking about purity, we're talking about like foreign matters in the product. We are dropping from 8 ppbw to 1 ppbw within 6 months. That means like we're dropping so fast in terms of like foreign matters in our product. products. So purity-wise and technology-wise, it's improving like day by day. So I think with this technology that's developing so fast, definitely there would be a lot more competitors wants to join us, but it just takes time for them to come up with this technology because we're so way ahead of them. And especially for GCL ourselves, right now we have like 5 major FBR manufacturing bases in China. So as we are building up these manufacturing bases, and we're getting more and more experiences and hands-on, like on-site experience, that I think we would be able to solve problems even faster and ramp up in a very timely fashion. So like going forward, I think the rationale right now is everybody is trying to come up with greener energy, right? Energy that has lower carbon footprint. So FBR is the right technology to do that. In terms of carbon footprint, is so much lower than modified Siemens. And eventually, if you go down the road, the market needs modules that has less carbon footprint. So in order to have like a greener module, you need to have greener polysilicon. That's where FBR comes in. So I expect there would be like a huge market demand for that greener poly and modules within the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. For GCL individually, so what does that mean actually in terms of the ratio between your chunk material and FBR technologies? So can you just, what's your roadmap, expansion roadmap?
So just to give you the information, we have already announced to the market that GCL would exit from the whole modified Siemens manufacturing basis. Like we're gonna do all FBR. So that is the basic rationale. Reasons being, if you look at our FBR products right now, is already better than solar grade modified Siemens in terms of quality, cost, energy consumption, you name it. It has all kinds of advantages. So it makes a lot more sense for us to just keep the FBR and move away completely from modified Siemens. And also, just so that you could have a better understanding of our products. For our FBR products, it's called granular polysilicon, right? So it's much better for continuous feeding to the furnaces. Like unlike modified Siemens, you have to first crunch it to chunks, and then you do the feeding. And during the process, you may contaminate the products. So purity-wise, quality-wise, it may not be as stable as FBR technology. And so that is one thing. And for granular polysilicon manufacturing is a closed loop thing. So it does not, it actually reduces the contamination to the greatest extent. So quality-wise is much more stable. So, and especially because the N-type right now is the N-type aero. So going forward, I think FBR definitely echoes to that market need to a much better extent than modified Siemens. So it makes a lot more sense for us to move away completely from modified Siemens.
Okay. So, but can you just tell maybe your capacity at the moment and what your capacity plans are?
目前来说，我们在国内的产能已经布局了40万吨，可能还会有。
So you were asking about the capacity of our polysilicon. Actually, right now in China, we're sitting at 400,000 tons of FBR polysilicon capacity. We have the plan to add another 100 to 200,000 tons in China. But right now, the priority for the company is really to go outside of China. Because if you look at the polysilicon capacity in China right now, 70% of the capacity is dedicated to international market needs. So, so going forward, also because a lot of countries are adding local content requirements, so it makes a lot of sense for us to go outside of China. And so we plan to build within the next 1 to 2 years FBR manufacturing bases outside of China. And if you look at the difference between modified Siemens and FBR technology ramp up, so for FBR technology manufacturing polysilicon, it requires less land. So capex wise is a lot more efficient, and energy consumption is much lower. For example, if you're building 100,000 tons of modified Siemens anywhere in China or outside of China. The energy consumption is about 5 billion kilowatt hours per year. But if you're building 100,000 tons of FBR, the energy consumption is like 1.5 billion kilowatt hours per year. So energy consumption-wise is much less. And also, say we're looking at different sites, like where should we go to expand outside of China, and when we're looking at those sites, we realize that if you're going to do modified Siemens outside of China, it's very hard to find a place that has so much energy supply to you, like existing energy supply to you, without asking you to make additional investment to get more power. But if you look at FBR, because it's more the energy consumption is so much less, so when you're looking at size to expand, you have so many more options, because 1.5 billion kilowatt hours per year is a lot less. And also we're talking about the steel consumption. For modified Siemens expansion, it requires a lot of steel to build the factory. Maybe like 70% of the steel that Africa use every year has to go to the modified Siemens ramp up. But for FBR technology, it requires so much less steel. The manufacturing processes is so much shorter. So it's much more efficient and easier to expand FBR. So and also labor cost is very important in terms of going outside of China. So for FBR, the automation level is a lot higher than modified Siemens. So for 10,000 tons of FBR, you only need 60 people to do the operation and everything. So that's so much less than modified Siemens. So while we're going outside of China, the labor cost outside of China is a lot higher than what we're having here. So by having FBR technology, I think this is a huge plus for us, because it requires much less labor. So capex-wise, it's much more efficient. So anyway, so our priority for us right now for the next 1 to 2 years is to go outside of China, and so we would be closer to our customers, because most of our customers are already outside of China anyway. So that's our priority going forward. Yeah.
我们看到今年在智硅这个领域产能扩大是非常惊人的，可能在今年或者明年，等我们这个接入电网之后呢，对价格会进一步的造成影响，尤其是在正式接入电网之后，可能价格会迎来陡降，所以在这个对于 FBR 技术来说，其实是有优势的，因为你们主打就是一个价格的优势。所以想问您，在光伏
how do you see actually first the silicon industry in the solar sector developing in the next 2 years, and what does it mean for GCL as a market leader and cost leader?
首先，产能的增加一定会导致局部这个市场的。
So thanks for your question. Yes, because if everybody is, if all the capacity expansion announced are going to come online, in some places there would definitely be, oversupply situation, and especially for polysilicon manufacturing is a chemical process, so it's very sensitive to that. For example, if you're not running at 100% utilization, your cost would vary significantly. So you have to make sure that you're running at 100% utilization. So, and again, while the capacity expansion is increasing, like the volume is getting more and more, it would definitely put a negative impact on the price. So the price would come down while the volume is increasing. But exactly like what you just said, under these circumstances, FBR is even has more advantages, because cost-wise it's so much lower than modified Siemens, and so it's more resilient to the price drop of polysilicon. And also, like in the past times, like a lot of people were were putting their like modified Siemens manufacturing bases in the western part of China because it has a much lower energy cost. But right now, I don't know if you already know that, like the energy cost in the western part of China is actually picking up. We used to have like 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Right now, it's very hard for you to get anywhere under 35 cents per kilowatt hour. So, and for the eastern part of China is always like being stable at 60 cents per kilowatt hour. So the gap between the western part of China and eastern part of China in terms of energy cost is actually narrowing. So at this point of time, if your technology requires less energy consumption, that would definitely give you an edge because you would not be so sensitive to the price change that much. And so just to give you a rough calculation, so the overall cost, if you're looking at modified Siemens and FBR, if they're at the same place that enjoys the same energy cost, the overall cost would be at least 30% lower. The FBR would be 30% lower than the modified Siemens. So and so while the energy cost is picking up during the western part of China, a lot of our competitors would be under a lot of pressure because they're making modified Siemens, so they're more sensitive to the price plunge of the polysilicon. So anyway, so when it comes to these circumstances, when we're looking at partial oversupply, energy costs picking up, FBR would definitely be the way to go because it clearly has an edge. And also that's also what we want to do. We want to commit it to providing the most green technology and the most, in terms of cost performance, the best products to our customers. Yeah.
I think these are nice final words.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.